Hi, in this video I'm going to be using cloth sim to make tabards or tunics and things for my miniatures. So the first thing I'm going to do is reduce the poly count of the miniature, and by adding a decimate modifier and just reducing the ratio quite significantly. As you can see, I've already done it on several pieces. Once it's done, I will apply it, and then I'm going to save as a new file. So file, save as, and just add a number or something or a letter onto the end. So just to make it a bit more workable and easy to manage. Now I take my whole model and just turn it into a single mesh, just for ease. While I think about it, I will turn on the screencast keys so you can see what I'm doing a bit better. It was just there for when I was modelling. Right, so let's get to making a tunic or cloak or whatever. The first thing to do is to add a plane and scale it up. Let's get it to the size we want it. So what I'm doing is just getting it so it's the right length, sort of from his shoulder height down to where I would roughly want it. Then I tab into edit mode and subdivide, and then subdivide once more. What we want is an odd number of subdivisions. Position the plane, then apply the scale. I'm going to tab in again. The reason I wanted an odd number is so the origin sits right on the middle of a vertice like that. And I can alt click to select a row, and then just press L on the side that you want to get rid of, and you can get rid of it all like that. Dead easy. I'm going to add a mirror modifier, turn on clipping. I'm getting somewhere close to start with. Now this little toggle X-ray, so I can see through it and I can get the right width for what I want. Something just outside of his waist is perfect. So alt click that, delete those faces, and delete all of this side. Now I'm going to find the origin. Turn on incremental and bring the origin to the top one way or another. However you choose to do it is fine. Then move it all back up again. Now what I'm going to do is just select a couple of vertices. One or two is fine. I made a vertex group for it. Has to be on the one on the edge. This is going to become a sewing point later on. Add another mirror modifier. This time on the Y, because I haven't applied the rotation. And I'm going to make a sort of head-sized hole by pressing C to get a circle select, using the mouse wheel to scale it. Just selecting the faces and deleting them. Now Alt-Shift click all these edges. I'm just going to smooth them a little bit. This isn't a critical thing, it won't be seen really, but it is just a slight improvement. Remember to turn clipping on your modifiers. Now with the whole done, go out of edit mode. Set the rotation back to flat and position your fabric. So it sits nicely around his neck. I don't particularly need the head at the moment. That's why I saved a separate model, but you can duplicate it if you like. What I'm going to do is go into sculpting and just smooth off the face into kind of more of a nub, because all I need it to do is just be rough and I don't want it to interfere with the fabric. So once that's sorted, got your layout, position it. What I'm going to do is apply the mirror modifiers. Check my pin groups. Now I was having a bit of trouble here because I need to be in vertex select mode to make sure that the group select, because I only have one vertices to select. It took me a few moments to work out what was going on. But yes, now I've got that sorted and I've worked out what I was doing. I will apply the mirror modifiers and it selects one of those for each of the mirrors as well, which is going to come in handy later. Now turn on collision for your model, the base as well if you wish. I'm going to add a cloth sim to this plane. So set object collisions, self collisions. Make a note of which ones you use, of how much you put them, and because we will be redoing it several times. Once you've done all your settings, you then tap bake and go make a cup of tea. We'll come back when it's done. Once your baking is done, you can let it play, just let it fall down to a decent point and then stop it. I didn't let the bake finish, but it got far enough for what I needed. So what I now do is apply the cloth modifier, and that makes the mesh that shape permanently. Now what I want to do is make some sewing threads, pull the mesh around the body. So select the vertex group we made, deselect two of the vertices from one side and press F. Once you've done that, you should just have the two on the other side. Press F to fill them. You'll get a nice line between them. Now go back, select the group again, deselect the two that are joined together and fill the second lot. Now if the line goes through the body, you'll just want to move it slightly. So turn on heavy modelling, just pull it out just a little bit. Do the same on both sides. You just don't want it to intersect with the collision mesh. The same goes with when it starts poke through the front a bit. So we're going to do another cloth sim here. Just sort of evening it all out a little bit. Right, once we've done that, we keep it selected, we go back to the cloth sim, put the same settings in, except for this time, we check mark the box that says sewing. And bake again. Now the next bake is finished, let's press play and see how it all looks. Now I'm quite happy with how that turns out. Now it's just a piece of art you're doing or something, that can be perfectly fine. You can even animate it if you really wanted. But I want to turn this into a mesh which could be printed. So what do we do? Because this is only one polygon thick, it won't print at all. We need to make it solid and manifold. So I'm going to apply that, apply the cloth, hide everything except my tunic. So first thing I'm going to do is delete what's left of these strings. And then fill the edges, fill that side, alt select that one and fill it. This will make some horrible things that won't really work. Some horrible polygons that aren't going to work very well, but we will fix them shortly. Make sure you do the neck, and we need to do the bottom as well. You see there's a few little bits that are going to need tidying up and sorting out, so just keep fiddling with the whole mesh and moving bits around. It can be a bit fiddly and awkward, but so I'm just going to sort of play around with it and get it all sort of fixed and try not to have too much overlapping from one side to another. So just grab these little faces here and just pull a few of them forwards a bit. And tidy it all up. That looks good enough for now. Then what I'm going to do is add a displace, reduce it quite a lot, but this is just a sort of a displace with no texture on it, just sort of balloons the whole thing out a little bit. I just want to do it just a tiny smidge, just to sort of push the fabric off the model and give it a bit of thickness. I think that looks alright. You should apply the displace, then add a remesh. I like the remesh, it just, you can do it in the sculpt mode, but I prefer to use the modifier just because it gives me a bit more flexibility, it's easier to undo. I'm just sort of having a look at the model, seeing how it all looks. I'm going to go into sculpt mode. Now what I've done here is I've forgotten to apply the remesh once it was done. I do eventually notice. Sort of there thinking, why isn't this sculpt working? So now, if you hold control with the standard brush, it kind of just eats it away a little bit. It's quite a nice one to use. It's a good start. I'm just using the mouse. Pull stuff away. The sort of standard brush and the smooth brush are probably the most used ones for this sort of thing. Crease is good as well, and Blender's fabric brush can be used if you like it. Don't take too much away, we want it to be a sort of fairly solid model. Just keep tweaking it. Take your time. And yeah, that's about it really. Just keep playing with it, save. The main reason I saved this as a separate file from the original is that now I can go back into the original and append this plane, or rename it Tunic if I were you, over to that. And there you go. I hope this is useful to someone. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.